we're going to start lying down on the back. If there's another way that you'd like to begin that you feel more comfortable with, go ahead, but you can take a couple of pillows, stack them up behind you, maybe have one a little bit further away so you've got some extra support on your head. And if you've got yoga blocks or any other props that you'd rather use, it's fine, but pillows will be just as well. And you can place your shoulders on the edge of one pillow, your head on the other. Feel free to throw a blanket or a sweater on. And you can cross the ankles if you're happier with your legs outstretched, do whatever your back enjoys the most. And rest your hands possibly on the abdomen. Having a couple of deep breaths with the eyes rested. And after you've been here for a bit, feel free to adjust or change what you're doing with your limbs so that you're sure you feel a little bit better, because we're going to be here for a while. And of course, if you need to move at any point so that you feel more comfort, go ahead. I'm going to sit up so it's easier to talk and so that I don't fall asleep. But whenever you're ready to, again, have a breath in as deep as you please. And as you breathe out, feel a sense of release, especially in the more sensitive parts of the body, like the hands and the face. And then as you're ready to, we're going to take a couple of kind of quick inhales and then a quite slow exhale. We're going to see if we can do about 5 rounds of that. You can observe first if you'd like to. There isn't very much to see, but feel free. When you're ready to, you're going to inhale, and then you're going to inhale some more, holding the breath for a second or 2. And then exhale through the nose or the mouth, quite slowly. Inhaling again through the nose if you can, and breaking the inhale into 2 pieces. So inhale, inhale, hold it for a second. Exhale slowly. And like any breathing technique, if you really don't enjoy this, or if it seems to have a sort of negative effect on your anxiety, you could really try it and see if that shifts. If you really don't like it, you don't have to do it, of course. A few more rounds when you're ready. Inhale. Inhale some more, pause, exhale quite slowly. Not having to follow my words, moving at your own pace. Again, inhaling more, pausing for a moment. And then maybe in the last round or 2 on the exhales, you feel even more of a release, not just in the hands and face, but in the shoulders, the belly. One more if you'd like. And then having a moment just to settle. Noticing everything that comes up. And you might notice, especially because of the goings on today, these days, that there's quite a bit of planning and suspecting and predicting going on with your thoughts. And everything seems a bit open-ended. And that's perfectly fine. It's just one of the ways that your mind is attempting to keep you safe and to prepare. So whether or not it seems as though you're projecting into the future, or going back into the past, even if the sort of identity or obsession seems to be in being more present or getting better at being, quote, in the moment, notice what happens without attempting very much to change or to codify, noticing if you're making things good or bad, but really instead just stepping back and observing all of it. And then allowing your perspective to shift. So while you witness and observe everything that happens, you're letting go of the sometimes instinct to identify with your thoughts. Letting go of the urge to be convinced that everything that you think is true. That you have to keep building on to this sort of conditioned identity of who you are and what you expect of yourself and what everyone else expects of you. Again, not that these things are necessarily negative, but they are certainly conditioned. And for a moment, we're going to see what happens if we step back from that. If it helps, and it probably might, invite any sort of release you can physically, possibly by allowing the eyelids to go still. The bottom jaw to relax. And the torso, the rib cage, the belly, even all the way down to the pelvis, to move quite freely and uninhibited as you breathe. One of the things we tend to point out or understand in a yoga class is that we are setting up a very controlled environment for ourselves. So the conditioning that we're doing in a class, the things that we're learning, can be cleared away of the sort of other 23 hours or so of the day. But the hope is always to be able to use what we learn, what we sort of make of ourselves in a class, in, quote, real life, when we leave the studio, when we get off the mat. And now we all find ourselves in an environment that is very, very uncontrolled, with quite a desperate urge to control it so that we feel safe. And we know that the people we love feel safe, and we can actually start predicting the next couple of weeks again. But since we cannot, we're going to do everything else that we can to take quite deep care of ourselves. And this, I hope, is why you're here. I suspect is why you're here. So I urge you to truly allow whatever comes up to come up. So when you find, and this is a good tendency, this is a strong tendency for all of us hard workers or perfectionists or even just loving people, so most of us. If you find that you think you're not doing enough, give yourself a moment again to drop back in. Give yourself permission to charge, so to speak, so that when you do give, the well that you draw from is not empty. When you feel anything at all you feel, whether or not you'd categorize that as positive or negative, give yourself full permission to feel it. You're going to breathe and move and think from a place in which there is nothing wrong with you, because there isn't. Find the breath. If you would like to sit up or start moving again at any point, feel free. If you feel safer with your eyes open, feel free. But I'll invite you now, if you are lying down or even if you're sitting up, to add a sort of yin type pose. So we're not going to be encouraging a lot of tension in the muscles in the pose. We're just going to let the body kind of flop into the shape and let the stretch, so to speak, that we feel in it be quite mild. So hopefully this whole practice, but certainly the first couple of poses, are going to be more of a gift. Like you're giving to the body, not asking of it. You're giving to the mind, not demanding you think or feel a different way than you already are. So when you're ready, again, this can be done from sitting up or from lying down. From lying down, you're going to take your knees, and you can stay on your pillows and simply drop them to one side. So it's a bit of a mild twist, and you might feel it a bit in the waist and the hip. You can turn your face in the opposite direction. You can move your arms. If you are sitting up, feel free, again with the ankles crossed or not, to bring one set of fingertips to the floor behind you. The other hand can just rest on either leg, really. And you can turn your face a bit. You might not feel as much here, but the longer you're here, the more you will feel. So feel free to adjust at any point. But again, maybe let the eyes close. Let the body kind of back off a bit. One of the hardest things that you're going to do here is resist the urge to fidget, and that's okay. Again, the main objective of this practice is to not really resist much of anything, except the sort of struggle. So go ahead and find your breath. And just maintain whatever twist you chose to be in for a few more cycles of breath. We're not going to hold the pose for the entirety of time we would if it were a full yin pose, so it's not going to be for 3 or 5 minutes. Just a couple more breaths, starting now. And then as you're ready to, breathe in. Come on back to center. You might pause, notice what you feel, and then whenever you're ready to, again, nice and easily switch sides. You might not feel much at all while you're in the pose. You might feel plenty. Again, it's fine either way. But do allow your body to feel whatever it's feeling. You might notice that the sensations are like waves. Sometimes they've ebbed quite a bit. Sometimes you hardly feel anything at all, and sometimes the intensity increases, and we're just going to kind of surf that, especially when the poses start to get more intense. A couple more breaths here. And then as you're ready to, come on back to center. And take a moment and then let's meet in child's pose. If you're lying down, you might want to take extra time, but come on up to hands and knees, put some space in between your knees if you'd like to, which might give your belly more room to move, so feel free. Let your heels drop, and even if you find that because of your body type or even your preferences or habits, it feels best to keep your hips really high up, or maybe you can't get them lower, that's fine. But you can let your head drop, maybe make a pillow with your hands or fists, and pause in the shape, again noticing whatever comes up. Whether you feel anxious, whether you feel at ease, whether you feel even really happy, and all the stuff that can be associated with that. Truly give yourself permission to feel it all. As you're ready, shifting out of your child's pose and up to hands and knees, and preparing to do a couple of cat-cow poses just to get some movement in the spine, maybe the shoulders and hips some too. So fan out the fingers, put some space in between your knees, however feels comfortable. We're not going to be terribly specific with alignment. Sometimes we will offer a lot of suggestions, but you can do what feels best. And if you have a pretty strong asana practice, feel free to make any adjustments or combinations to suit what you need or what you like more. Find the breath. If you'd like to, you can keep a little bend in the elbows. If it feels okay in your elbows, your wrists, your shoulders, maybe keep the arms quite straight. And when you inhale, you're going to anteriorly tilt your pelvis. So stick your sitting bones, stick your tush up towards the ceiling. Feel some length throughout your lower back, but at the same time, lift your sternum in your face. And when you exhale, posteriorly tilt your pelvis, so tuck the tailbone. Feel the low back shifting up towards the ceiling, the shoulder blades drawing away from each other, and then possibly drop your head. See how that feels. Inhale, lift the sit bones, the sternum, the face. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, tuck the front of the rib cage in, and drop the head. Inhale, lift the sit bones, the sternum, and the face. And exhale, tuck under and keep moving at your own pace. Feeling free to shift around. You might slide kind of back and forth on your wrists and knees a bit. You might even move more side to side, noticing if you feel anything more intriguing if you add some lateral flexion in the spine, including the neck. You can even make figure 8 shapes with your head. But you can keep it as simple and straightforward as just going into sort of standard cat-cow poses like we were doing before. Adjusting the distance between the hands and the knees anytime you need to. Coming onto your fists if your wrists feel a bit too much. We're going to keep doing these poses for another couple of breaths. But remember, feel free to add on, to subtract, so that you feel a little bit better as you move. And challenging can feel really good too. So by better, I really mean whatever specifically for you seems the most appropriate. And then when you're ready to, maybe 1 or 2 more of each, and we'll pause again. After we do, find the breath. Things are going to slowly start to get a little bit more intense, so it might be even more useful to use your breath as a tool to focus your attention. When you're inhaling, reach the right leg back. When you're exhaling, draw your right knee towards your right shoulder, draw your upper body towards your knee. Inhale, reach the leg back. Exhale, knee to shoulder, upper body to knee. Inhale, reach the leg back. You can move your foot or your ankle, and your ankle however feels best. Keep going. You could inhale or exhale when you bring the leg in too, but it might feel better exhaling to do so. Feel free to play with it. And you can breathe quite quickly, quite slowly, anywhere in the middle. It might even feel best to let the body kind of stay in charge of the breath, but if you have a breathing practice like rhythmic breathing or ujjayi breathing, go for it. One more. And then reach the leg back, leave it there. Breathe in, lift your leg, lift your sitting bones, maybe lift your face. Exhale, take your right knee in towards your nose. Drop your head. Inhale, lift the leg. Only lift the sitting bones in the leg as far as feels pretty good in your lower back. If you'd like to lift your chest and your face, go ahead. You can even bend your knee. On an exhale, draw the knee in towards the nose. One more time. And this time, As you draw your knee in towards your nose, lean into your left hand and step your right foot forward. If you want, you can pick it up, put it there, come onto your fingertips. Inhale, lift your sternum. If you need the space, you can put your right hand on your right thigh. Exhale, lift your left knee up. When you're ready, inhale, reach one or both arms forward to frame the face. Exhale, bend your back knee a little bit. If it hurts, don't do it. If it feels appropriately challenging and manageable, maybe straighten the leg when you breathe in, bend when you breathe out. Keep going. And then go ahead and leave the knee down. Pat up underneath it if you need more support or cushioning. Hands to the front thigh and start to sit up. Double, triple check to make sure your knees feel okay. And then when you're ready to, feel again that tuck of the tailbone, even if it means you have to bend your front knee less. And start sitting up a little bit taller. Take a breath in, lift your left arm up. Exhale, tilt the body again laterally over to the right. And if you'd like, you can reach your right arm down. You could grab onto your left wrist. It might be a little bit tougher this way. Holding onto your wrist with your hand, just gently pulling yourself to the right, but squeezing in with your inner thighs. Focus on your breath. When you breathe in, sit up and you can reach the arms up if you feel like it. When you breathe out, put your hands down. Tuck the toes of the back foot if they weren't, and either way is okay. But tuck them so you can lift your knee, lifting your hips up towards the ceiling, and stepping back in a downward dog. You can play here. You can play with your flexibility if you want to. You can play with your strength. You can move through a vinyasa if that's something that you like. So coming into plank pose, lowering down, finding a back bend, and then shooting your hips back up towards the ceiling, downward dog, or child's pose. Remember, the heels don't ever have to get to the floor. It might feel like a nice stretch in the ankles and lower legs, even the back of the knees and upper legs. If you move the heels towards the floor sometimes, possibly even working your legs a little straighter, lifting your sitting bones and digging your hands into the floor. But when you're ready, inhale, and then exhale, place the knees down. Walk the hands in so you're standing on just the knees. Again, toes tucked or not, whatever you prefer. Tuck your tailbone. Take a breath in, sit pretty tall. And then when you breathe out, just relax your shoulders down. Inhale, press down with your lower legs, sit even taller. When you breathe out, relax your shoulders down. One more time. Really getting the legs more and more active, but relax your shoulders, relax your neck. And then when you're ready, inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, lean over to the right some. Inhale, back up. Exhale to the left. And up. You can look up if you feel like it sometimes. Exhale to the right. And up. To the left. And up. One more time each side on your own. And then when you're ready, up. And let the hands come to the floor, maybe gently, so the wrists are a little bit safer. And when you're ready, find your breath again. Take a breath in, reach your left leg up. Take a breath out, draw the left knee to the left shoulder, and move the upper body towards the knee. Inhale, reach back, and exhale, back in. Keep going. Again, the breathing directions aren't set in stone. You can inhale or exhale your leg in. If you're very accustomed to this, change it up, see what happens. A few more. Possibly attempting to keep the arms, especially the right one, relatively straight. And noticing any time you find the jaw and the eyes get a little or feel a little more tense, just noticing. You don't necessarily have to change it. Let's do one or two more. And then the next time your leg is back, take a breath in, lift it pretty high. Maybe higher, you lift the foot higher than the knee, higher than the hip. Maybe tilt your sitting bones and coming into cow pose, so lifting your chest and maybe your face in a way that feels manageable to your lower back. And when you exhale, draw your left knee in towards your belly, start to shift your torso into cat pose, and then drop your head. Inhale, reach your leg up. Maybe lift it quite high if that feels okay. Maybe bend the knee, like you're trying to move your big toe and your head closer. Exhale, knee comes in. Last one. See how close you can get for this one, your knee to your cheekbone. And then leaning a little bit to the right, get your left foot up to the front of the mat, however you can. Inhale, come onto your fingertips. Left hand can come to the leg if you'd like to. Exhale, tuck the back toes. Lift the knee up, see how it feels. When you're ready to, reach one or both arms up to frame the face. You could keep them down if you'd rather. And as you're ready to, see what it feels like to bend your back knee. You can try bending it and unbending it a couple of times, digging into the floor with the feet. But then as you're ready to, bend the knee. Put the hands down first if your knees are quite sensitive, so you can put some of the stress of the pose into your arms and off of your legs. But eventually put your knee down, bring the hands to the front thigh, and sit up. So you could let your hips move forward and down. That can be a really pleasant stretch. Sometimes it's a good stretch whether or not it feels perfectly pleasant, but let's try tucking the tailbone and sitting up a little bit taller. And make any little adjustments that you have to. Find your breath again. When you're ready, reach the arms up. Feel like you could lift the rib cage up off the floor, squeeze in with your lower thighs. Inhale. Exhale, lean your upper body. So from the rib cage to the hands, to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale to the right. To center. To the left. Center. To the right. One more time each side. And then after you lift your torso, exhale, the hands can come down. And again, lift your back knee, launch your hips up towards the ceiling, downward dog. Let's go from downward dog to plank pose and back a bunch of times. And you can keep this maintaining the body in a relatively, quote, straight, of course there are no straight lines, but straight-ish form. Or if you'd like, it can be quite flowy. You can lift your sit bones, bend the knees, round your way forward, activating a little more in the front of the body, and maybe even tilting your sitting bones and stretching out through the front of the body as you move. Again, if it seems like it's too much, keep it simple. Inhale forward, exhale back. If even that's too much, and it might be, it's fine. Put the knees down, inhale forward, and exhale back. And then the next time you find you're in downward dog or child's pose, stay there for a couple of breaths. You can travel up to the front of the mat eventually, and the hands can come off the floor anytime you need them to. If you have a jumping practice, you can hop your way up there, whatever you'd like. But make your way forward, fold, and let's come rolling up to stand. Stacking vertebra on top of vertebra, and then shrugging your shoulders, pointing your nose forward. When you're ready, inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale. See if you can side bend like we were doing earlier over to the right, back to center, to the left, back to center. Breathe in, exhale, step your left foot back. You can come onto the ball of the foot. The heel can lower to the floor too, that's okay. But take a breath in, so warrior one with the back heel down, or a high lunge with the back heel up. And a breath out, of course, another couple of breaths here. So if you're in your high lunge, You might really lift your back hip, squeeze in with your inner thighs, and allow your front knee to move forward. If you're in warrior one, if the back heel's down, checking to make sure your ankle or your knee feel pretty good, you might dig the heel into the floor, still squeezing in with the inner thighs. But either choice you made, press down with your feet, lift up with your sternum, maybe even up with your face. You can lift your shoulders. You can keep them down and the hands far apart, whatever feels best for you. But when you're ready, breathe in, and then when you exhale, you're going to spin your back heel to the floor, and then turn on the feet so you're facing the left side and the back of the mat. Open the arms out to a T, breathe in, and when you exhale, like somebody who's pulling onto your left arm, reach back, or I guess forward in this case. And then inhale, like someone's pulling onto your right arm, reach behind you, over your right leg. Imagine there's a wall behind your back and your hips and you were resting on it. But again, you can make accommodations, you can bend your knee, you don't have to be perfectly squared off anywhere. Somebody's joints just aren't up to that, so don't force it. Find your breath. Now possibly on the inhale, with your left hand, legs quite straight, reach forward like someone's pulling onto your left hand, and then like someone's pulling onto your right. Keep going. Keep going. And then when you're ready to, after reaching your right arm back one more time, inhale, sit up. Exhale, relax the arms. Turn the heels in and the 4 feet out in a pretty wide stance. And then when you're ready to, breathe in and exhale, bend the knees. We're just going to stay here for a couple of breaths. You can do what you'd like with your arms. And we don't have to be too particular about the tuck of the pelvis. You could have your hips quite low, your torso forward. We're just going to hang out in this squat for a couple of breaths. You could even choose your favorite variation of it. You don't have to be still. Different things that you do are going to target different parts of the body. Just make sure you're pressing down with the parts of the feet you're choosing to put on the floor. And you keep coming back to your breath. When you're ready, straighten the legs, relax the arms, look towards the original front of your mat, bend your right knee, bring your fingertips to the floor or blocks, books, whatever you're using if you are, and then lift your left leg up in the air. Take a breath in. If you'd like, you can climb your hands on top of your right leg. You might tuck your tailbone a bit here, even as you lift your left leg. You might tuck the front of the ribcage in and try lifting your torso some, so a more full version of Warrior 3. You can even bring your arms forward. And then when you're ready, stand up, releasing your foot down. Have a moment to find your breath. If you're craving a big breath in, take it. Then again, maybe relax the neck, the shoulders, the hands. And just feeling the heartbeat. When you're ready to. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, tilt your upper body. So from the rib cage, especially the left side of it, up, over to the left. Exhaling. Inhale to center, and then to the right. Back to center. And when you're ready to, breathe in. Bend the knees a bit if you'd like to. On an exhale, perhaps, send your right foot back. Again, the back heel can be up, so you're in a lunge. The heel can be down for Warrior 2, whatever you prefer. Maybe a little easier to balance in Warrior 2. Make sure your back feels good, whatever you choose to be in. Make sure your knees feel good. And again, you can lift your back knee quite high, bend your front knee quite deeply. And again, as far as which to do a preference. There are benefits to both. Some people's bodies respond better to one more than the other. But go ahead and find your breath. Playing with the arms a bit too. If you want to bring your palms together, lift your shoulders and face. Maybe separate your palms. Whatever you'd like. As you're ready to, like you were trying to touch the ceiling, lift your hands, straighten your front leg, And then turn on the feet so you're facing the right foot and the back of the mat, arms out to a T. Just like we did on the other side. So both legs are gonna be pretty straight. Left foot's parallel with the small side of the mat, more or less. Right foot the long side, again, that's more or less, doesn't have to be perfect. Arms out, find the breath. So you can inhale, reach right, exhale, reach left, but feel free to switch it up when you're ready. Like there's a wall behind your shoulders and you were trying to rest both of them on it, especially the left one. Reach, reach, reach to the right and to the left. Keep going. If you're very accustomed to this, you could turn your face to the right. You could even turn it to the left sometimes, or if you just want to play with that and see if you like it. But it might be best to move the shoulders, shoulder blades, and neck in a way that feels pretty good on your neck. We're not really trying to crazily work out the neck too much. Notice, especially if you feel like you've been doing quite a bit of work, if you're selling yourself a bit short, you might slow down and try to see if you can go a little bit farther. Notice, especially if you start leaving a pose before you've gone as deep as you can into it, before you finished the breath. Couple more. One more time, maybe, but the next time you're reaching to the left, simply sit up, relax your arms, turn your heels in, your 4 feet out again. So depending on what you're used to and again your body type, you might have your feet really turned out. I can't do that for my body. My sister can. I swear she's got the hips of an orangutan, but if, in a good way, if though you feel like you're pulling your knees or your ankles in a way that doesn't seem to suit, you can always keep your stance a little shorter, your knees and your feet turned in some. But let's see if we can lower the hips quite a bit. And you could, if you wanted to, lower your torso, but we're just gonna see if we can have the bones of the pelvis and the rib cage basically lined up. Again, we're not looking for perfection. And then squat your hips low and find your breath. If you're sweating, if you're not in this to push your body very much, rest your hands on your legs, maybe hang out here. Letting the shoulders lift up, letting the arms kind of work like cables to hold the pose. So you'll feel a little bit, but not as much. If you're sweating and really into it, let go of your legs with your hands, squat your hips quite low. Maybe do something different with the arms, and feel free to add some pulses. And this is one of those times, again, where the sensation is going to come and go in waves. And when you find that your instinct is to get out when the wave reaches a peak, try not to, unless you're hurting. If it's very intense, see if you can surf, ride what you feel, and allow the body to learn to tolerate what you feel. Go ahead and straighten the legs, relax the arms. Notice how all the stuff in your legs goes away. Turn on your feet a bit, pouring all the way into your left foot. Inhale. And when you're ready to, reach your fingertips maybe towards the floor, lift your right leg up in the air. You can keep your hands down, you can even fold into more of a standing split, but maybe if you did on the other side, lift your right leg up high, climb the hands possibly on top of the left leg. You can stay bendy here if you want to, won't hurt anything. If you want to be more strengthening, lift your right heel as you shoot it back towards the wall behind you. Tuck your tailbone a bit, tuck the rib cage in as you lift it. Maybe lift your arms. And then from here, however you can, stand up, catch your breath. Let's combine a bunch of the stuff that we've done. Inhale, reach the arms up, as much space as you'd like between your feet. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, stand up. Exhale, bend the knees a little bit. Lift your left leg, step your foot back. Take a breath in, maybe side bend to the right again. Maybe side bend to the left. When you're ready to, again with breath, inhale, sit up quite straight. Put your hands down first if you need to, but exhale, bend your back knee if you can. If your back heel's on the floor and you don't want to do this, you don't have to, but maybe bend the back knee a bunch. And then again, side bend to each side. If it's very tricky to balance, you might find that you're not going as far as you can or as far as you want to. It's okay. Give yourself a moment. And then when you're ready to, lift towards the ceiling, reach towards the ceiling, flip around on the feet so you're facing the left side. Arms out. Inhale, reach really far forward with your left hand, and let's hold it. You can reach your right arm up. You can bring both arms to frame the face. This might be a little bit tougher, will be a little bit tougher. Find your breath. Inhale, stand. Relax the arms, heels in, 4 feet out. Again, there's as many variations of squats as there are variations in each specific body type. We're just gonna have the feet apart, the hips low. And you can tilt your torso forward. You might even take your arms up and try again. Whatever variation you want, if you want. Some side bends. Reaching for the ceiling, turning on the feet, leaning into your right foot, launching your left leg up in the air. And maybe here, if you want, a little bit trickier, but all good, do a bit of a side bend. So keep your torso facing the ground, but take the right side of the rib cage towards the right hip. Maybe even your lifted leg and your arms move towards each other to the right. Back to center, up to stand, relax your arms. Do whatever you want. Grab some water if you'd like, fold forward if you want, whatever feels good. And then as you're ready, take a breath in from the top of the mat, reach the arms up, side bend to the left perhaps, reaching up and to the right, reaching up. Inhale when you're ready, and exhale, send your right leg back. You can do some side bends here. If your back heel is down, you might want to leave the leg pretty straight. You could have your heel up and the knee a little bit bent. It can be a little tricky and complicated that way, but if that's what you want to do, if it feels really good, go for it. As long as your knees feel pretty good. Today, probably tomorrow too. Maybe start bending as you dig all of your toes and the balls of both feet into the floor. Start bending your back knee and play with some side bends here. Really intense on the back leg. Dig the front foot down. So the toes and the ball of the foot, yes, but also the heel, and keep going. Imagine you were attempting to engage very, very much all of the tissues, for the most part, of both of your legs, for the most part. And then as you're ready to, sit up, turn on the feet, arms out, take a little break if you need it. Breathe in, imagine you have your hips and some of your upper back, maybe the left side, on this imaginary wall behind you, and then reach to the right. Keeping the left side of your upper back near that imaginary wall. You can stay here, you can put your hand down. You can lift your left arm up. You might bring your arms to frame the face and turn the head, probably the hardest one for most people. I can't talk and breathe at the same time here. And then with lots of strength in the legs, come on up. And let's relax the arms. You might want to bring your feet a little bit closer. We're going to this time fold over the legs so you can adjust how your feet and knees are turned whenever you want to. But let your torso drop. You might, while you're here, hold on to opposite arm or even let your arm rest to the floor. And if you want, as long as it feels appropriate for your knees, and again, adjust your stance if you need to, you can lift your heels. You can even lift them a lot if you feel like it. Some people's feet are really happy there, some aren't, so see how it feels to you, and go ahead and move around if you'd like. You don't have to be on your toes, not for everybody. And then when you're ready to, breathe in, turn the feet so they're about parallel to each other. Breathe out, hands to hips, lifting your torso some of the way. Then as you squeeze your feet down and in, come the rest of the way up. Turn the feet to the left a bit. Remember, hands can come to the floor at any point, even if you didn't on the other side. But go ahead and lean into your front leg. Lift your right leg up in the air. Maybe the arms come forward. You can also reach them back. And if you're doing your side bend here, you can have your arms reaching back or out to a T that way too. But have the torso face more or less the floor. Front of the torso, that is. And maybe, if you want, take the left side of the rib cage towards the left hip. Take your arms and your lifted leg towards each other to the left. And breathe. Back to center. Up to stand. Relax your arms. Oh, when you're ready, turn your heels in, your 4 feet out, lift your heels a little bit or a lot, start to bend your knees. And if your knees are sensitive and you want support, go ahead and put your hands down, grab onto anything near you if you'd like, but see if you can get your hips quite low. And then after you do, with or without using your hands, lower your hips to the floor. Have just a moment here. And then, with your feet forward, heels on the floor, maybe 4 feet down, but they don't have to be. Bring your arms up. Take a breath in, and then exhale, turn your upper body to the right, and start rolling down. Maybe even lift your right leg up. Come on back up. Turn to the left. Tuck your tailbone, so think like cat pose. Roll your way down to the left. Maybe the left leg comes up to help distribute the balance a little bit more. Come on back up. Exhale to the right. And up. And to the left. Keep going. And if you'd like this to be even more funky, maybe try to have the feet hovering off the floor as you move. That too is not for everybody. None of these things are for everybody. You're going to cater it to suit you. But if you find that you've become so overwhelmed or so determined to play with the balance and you've lost out on the rest of the movement of the pose, you might reassess. You might do a couple with your hands down, feet down that is, even hands down could be good. And then a couple with the feet up. Feel free to play with it. But eventually you're going to see if you can get, again, feet up or down, your upper back closer and closer to the floor while you're still tucking your tailbone. And then eventually you'll come all the way down. And when you do, take the knees in. Breathe in, lift your upper back, support your head gently with your hands. The elbows don't have to be opened out. They can even be lifted in, some as long as you're not yanking them in your head. But if you force your elbows out, it might not feel good in the shoulders. So breathe in, and then exhale, see if you can reach your left leg long. Left elbow, right leg. Center. And bicycle crunch to the other side. Center. Switch. Keep going. Maybe inhale, center, and exhale, switch. If you'd like, instead of having your knees bent, you can reach your legs up towards the ceiling. That doesn't necessarily increase the difficulty. But it does feel good for a lot of people, so play. You could even, if you want to, again, everything's an option. Reach your arms to the opposite side. And if you want it to be even wackier than this, not necessary, but if you do, reach both of your legs long. Ten more. 1, 2, 10 each side, I meant. I don't even know where the count is. Let's do 5 each side, starting now. 1, 1, 2, 2. Lift your shoulder blades. 3, off the floor. 3, 4, 4. Last one. And very last one. And then back to center. Reach your feet up towards the ceiling. Come to sit on your hands. Tuck the tailbone, so feel your lower back down. Breathe in. Exhale, lower your legs as far as you want to. Make a little circle, however you want. You can make a circle with both legs in both directions. You can make one circle with each leg moving at a time, clockwise or counter. 1 of each. Back up. 10 more. Breathe in. Exhale, lower your legs. Tuck your tailbone. Make a circle or 2. And up. 9. Steady your breath. 8. You can lift your upper back if you want it to be even harder. Tuck your tailbone. 7. Remember, the feet only have to lower a little bit for a lot of people to feel this. And since we're not trying to crush ourselves, we're not trying to kill ourselves here. Move at a manageable 6. Manageable degree. So the breathing can get difficult, it can get strained, that's okay. 5. Just keep trying. 4. 3. 2. 1. And then legs up. Bend your knees. Release your feet. Arms by the sides. Breathe in. Lift your hips. So you can do any variation of bridge pose that you know and love. If you feel nothing but your lower back, you might walk your feet further away or even lift your heels up. Remember, if you feel your lower back, it's not necessarily dangerous. But do a pose where you feel like you're getting quite a bit out of it. So you're really tucking your tailbone, lifting your chest. And come on down. So we're going to go back up. I'm going to move into wheel pose. I know I'm sending this to a lot of students that I teach frequently. I don't often teach this pose, but if you'd like, you can always lift into bridge pose. Settle your hands somewhere by the floor, by your face. Doesn't matter where they land. Accommodate for your wrists, for your arms, and then maybe lift all the way into your bridge, possibly coming onto the crown of the head. And this is enough. If your shoulders feel into it, you can try straightening your arms some. But remember, we're never doing a pose to make it look a certain way, necessarily. Come on down. And after you do, take the knees in, maybe one at a time, and move a little bit. You can make figure 8 shapes with your knees. And then place your right ankle to your left thigh. Hold on to your left leg, so you're going to have to needle your right arm in between your legs. Hold on to your left leg wherever you can reach it with both hands. And if you can't get your foot off the floor, you can leave your foot on the floor. And just try this. We're looking to feel a stretch in the right hip. If you feel other places, that's fine too. But see if you can start slowing down your breath. For the last breath here, imagine you could kind of breathe in and then breathe in more and then exhale quite slowly like we were doing earlier, whenever you're ready. And we'll switch sides. Again, maybe you just rest your left ankle on your thigh. Maybe grab onto your right leg with one or both hands, kneeling the left arm through the legs. And let's let the first couple of breaths here be nothing dramatic. Allow your body to kind of map this out, to tolerate what you feel, adjusting your foot, your ankle, so that you feel a little bit better in the ankle, moving your hip around some so that you feel better in your knee. And then after you've been here for a while, possibly pulling your leg a little bit closer. And then those almost double inhales, not double in length or depth necessary, just breathe in and then breathe in more, and then exhale real slowly. You might even imagine on the exhales, you sink more deeply into the pose. And relax your feet down. Bring the soles of the feet together, let the knees drop out to the side. If that feels in any way uncomfortable on your knees, you can sit on your hands. Sometimes it helps a little bit. You can stack blocks or cushions underneath your hips. You can put your feet further away from each other, see if that feels better. For me, it often does. Find the breath. Let the eyes rest. Close them if you're comfortable with it. Keep them open if you'd rather. Go ahead and lift the knees. Bring the arms overhead. Shimmy your hips over to the right, or just shift them to the right. Take your knees to the left. If there's any variation of this pose that you really like, go ahead into it. But we're not looking for a dramatic stretch. So if you feel some pinching around the rib cage, if it feels like it's a strain to breathe, do a pose that feels a little bit simpler, a little bit easier. And we'll switch sides. Shifting the hips to the left so you can roll onto your right hip. Adjusting the arms, the neck, something feels comfortable. And again, you could make this whatever twist you really like, as long as it doesn't feel overwhelming. And rolling through your right side, just to sit up and make some adjustments so we can get more comfortable. We're gonna lie back down, we're gonna rest well and long. So because it might feel a little bit chilly, your temperature might drop some because you're not going to be working so much. Feel free to cover up. Grabbing your pillows if you'd like to use them, and making yourself really, really comfortable. You can do whatever you'd like. I prefer even the way it feels, to rest a couple of heavier pillows on my hips. I love the grounded sensation. I don't know why that works so well for me, but it does. So this is good. If your back is sensitive, you might rest your pillows under your knees. You might rest them under your back, whatever you'd like. Maximum comfort, for sure. And after you found it, do take your time. After you found it, have a couple of breaths as deep as you please. Resting the eyes. And I'm going to walk you through a relaxation exercise and ask you to repeat to yourself quietly, just in your mind, whatever I say. Feel free to rewrite what I say, make it your own. It's going to be very simple. So when you're ready, one more breath in, as deep as you please. And as you breathe out, feel that release again in the face and the hands. And notice what you feel around the head. The forehead, the jaw. And say to yourself, I relax the forehead. Say to yourself, I relax the eyelids. I relax the jaw. I relax the cheeks and mouth. I relax the back of the neck. I relax the sides of the neck. I relax the front of the neck. I relax the throat. I relax the upper back. I relax the back of the rib cage. I relax the lower back. I release the sides of the torso. I relax the waist. I relax the upper chest. I release the sides and front of the rib cage. I feel the breath. I relax the belly. I relax the shoulders. I relax all the way down to the elbows. I relax from the elbows to the wrists. I relax my thumbs. I relax my forefingers. I relax my middle fingers. I relax my ring fingers. I relax my pinkies. I relax the back of my hands. I relax my palms. I relax the pelvis. I relax the back of the legs. I relax the hips. I relax the front of the legs. I relax my calves. I relax my ankles. I relax from my knees to the feet. I relax the tops of the feet. I relax the bottoms of the feet. I relax the toes. as you stay here, giving yourself full permission to feel and think and sense absolutely everything that comes up. Allow yourself not to believe every single thought. Or to diagnose every single feeling. But instead to fully observe all these aspects of your conditioning, of your body-mind at work. With, even in these crazy times, a sense of, if not gratitude, then appreciation for how incredible your body-mind is, how high-functioning your body-mind is. And reiterating as many times as you need to, ease, effortlessness, and you do not have to sit up. You don't have to start moving. But if you would like to at any point, you can roll onto your side and sit. Do take your time. You don't have to now. Stay lying down if you're happy there. But whether or not you're sitting, have a moment to try a whole lot less. If you are sitting and would like to fold forward, take the hands behind you, have a breath in, and then exhale, fold.